So I'm Mark Anderson and I'm Executive Vice President of Customer for Virgin Atlantic. Well, you're absolutely right. We are well known in the UK, although there's a lot that we're doing in the UK. But actually, increasingly, a lot of our customers, obviously, from a holidays perspective, from a flying perspective, are flying to lots of different parts of the world and holidaying in lots of different parts of the world. So it's critical that we use our voice as a business, particularly, to help effect change. And it's very important how we do that. You know, we can't go over to countries, particularly in the Caribbean, for example, and start lecturing and dictating how other countries that have got, you know, years and years of culture and legal precedents built up that they must suddenly change. But what we can do is help particularly make the economic argument for change and show people why it's so important to be inclusive of LGBT community, what that means economically as well as morally and socially. And so one of the things that we're doing in the summer in June is we're going to be hosting a conference out in Miami with all of our partners in the Caribbean and various heads of state and government ministers to start talking about why this is important, what our customers' expectations are, but why it's also important for people who live and work locally in the Caribbean. Well, that's a very good question. In terms of supporting our colleagues who are working around the world in environments that aren't particularly LGBT friendly, there is no silver bullet. I mean, one thing that we make absolutely clear and absolutely sure is that anyone who's working at any of our overseas locations, no matter where that is, that they have the same rights, the same working environment in terms of our policies, our processes, how we expect people to behave in the offices that they're in. We audit that. We're working very closely with our friends at Stonewall to make sure that we eradicate any kind of unconscious bias. But of course, you know, it's one thing to do that in the office environment, it's quite another to do that in a country where the general culture is not as supportive as, say, the UK. And that's a difficult challenge. That's something that has to be tackled patiently, it has to be tackled in conversation. We can't go in and force people to change their attitudes overnight, but what we do is we start conversations. We work very closely with our friends and colleagues in Open for Business who help us to particularly make the economic argument of why LGBT inclusion is so important, and we'll continue to do that. Well, LGBT is important to me and the same reasons that every other part of diversity, whether it's women's rights, whether it's the gender pay gap, whether it's people with special needs. It's critically important to me, particularly in the Virgin Atlantic group, that people can be themselves and that people who are able to be themselves are always the best version of themselves. You know, having to hide who you are or compensate for who you are and putting energy into that is diverting your real natural talents from being the best version of yourself. So anything that we can do to support events or awards such as the British LGBT Awards that promote and recognise those people who go the extra mile, who really make a difference, especially in this community, we're absolutely supportive of and very encouraging of.